The Punisher is back, and he's returned in the bloodiest, most gory way imaginable. But this isn't the Frank Castle you knew. The ultimate killing machine has been twisted, reshaped, and rebuilt into something darker. No longer just a man of vengeance, Frank is now a controlled assassin. His body and instincts hijacked, his mission reprogrammed, under the iron grip of Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin himself. And right here on our channel, we're bringing him to you in this terrifying new avatar. Strap in, because what follows isn't just war, it's carnage. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The Punisher is back. Frank Castle awoke drenched in red, his body broken, his memory fractured. He didn't know where he was or even who he was, only that he was alive, barely. His body was torn by bullets, one through the occipital bone, another in the right shoulder, a third ripping into his thigh. Blood loss, agony, and confusion clouded his thoughts, but instinct kept him breathing. The stench of sulfur filled his nose. Coagulation around his wounds told him the firefight had just ended. Around him, flames roared, corpses burned, and steel groaned beneath collapsing wreckage. He grabbed an Uzi for comfort, only to find its magazine empty. Rising to his feet on a burning ship, surrounded by 500 pounds of fentanyl going up in smoke, Castle realized he understood everything about the carnage, except his own name. Smoke burned his lungs as he staggered forward, fighting back waves of blackout. Sirens wailed outside, police boats circling in. The sound was all he needed. Reflex took over. His body moved as it always had. Cold, precise, lethal. He reloaded and opened fire, tearing into the incoming boats. Bullets shattered spotlights, pierced engines, and splintered hulls. Not killing, but disabling. That was Frank Castle, stripped bare of memory, but still the living weapon he had always been. Gunfire returned. Police rained bullets onto the burning vessel. Frank ran through fire and corpses, unfazed by death, knowing capture was never an option. Blood streaming down his face, he dove into the harbor, disappearing beneath the black water. He thought only of survival, of war, of the blade, the bullet, and death. He lived so others could die. Long live the king. In Queens, the First Reformed Church sat quiet. Father O'Connor entered the confessional expecting the same whispered sins of everyday men. But the voice behind the screen wasn't ordinary. It belonged to Wilson Fisk. O'Connor greeted him like any sinner, asking how long it had been since his last confession. But Fisk had not come for forgiveness. He had come to expose. He laid bare O'Connor's dark legacy, years of trafficking men, women, and children under the cloak of charity, using faith as cover for corruption. Fisk's voice was cold, deliberate, promising no salvation. The priest's crimes had already been sent to the diocese, the NYPD, and every institution that mattered. O'Connor panicked, pulling a gun. Fisk sneered, calling it a rosary, something to pray with, and with that, Fisk ended him. The Kingpin hadn't come to cleanse his soul. He'd come to make sure no one could ever hide theirs again. Police reports and rumors. Back at the wreck, detectives picked through the charred bones of the ship. Bodies with gunshot wounds lay in heaps, burned beyond recognition. One was identified only by metal dental grills. The fire hadn't killed them, bullets had. Detective Pluto demanded answers, pressing shaken survivors. But witnesses stammered, saying it was too dark, too chaotic. One survivor said it best: expect the worst in people. Detectives agreed on one thing: whoever had done this was no ordinary gunman. Hours later, investigators returned to the wreck. Millions in product destroyed. Half a dozen corpses reduced to smoldering ash. They knew this wasn't the end. Retribution would come, fierce and bloody. Anybody who knows anything knows, one muttered, leaving the unspoken threat heavy in the air. Enter Tombstone. In another part of the city, Tombstone stalked through a grotesque corridor lined with corpses hanging like meat. His pale grin cut through the shadows as he addressed the living victims bound before him. He made his intentions clear. None would leave alive. The best they could hope for was a quick death. Raising a cleaver, he slashed into one man's arm, letting his screams echo. Piece by piece, he would carve them apart until one of them gave him what he needed. 5 men sat trembling before him, but Tombstone only wanted one thing: a name. Who had destroyed his shipment? Who had killed his men? His smile widened as he promised their pain would not end until someone talked. The old woman and the stranger. In Brooklyn, an old woman called for her dog, Rocco. The dog bolted to the shoreline, barking at something in the surf. There, half buried in sand and soaked in blood, lay Frank Castle. She rushed forward, horrified, thinking him dead. But Frank stirred, gasping, alive but barely. She reached for her phone, but Frank snapped it in half, refusing a hospital. With a growl, he demanded she take him to her home. Inside, bleeding and broken, he ordered vodka, tweezers, a lighter, needle, and thread. The woman, startled, fetched what she could. Frank Frank staggered into the bathroom, stripping down, stitching himself back together. As she watched his scarred back, she asked the only question that mattered. "Are you a bad man? Should I be afraid?" Frank didn't answer. She handed him her late husband's vodka instead. He accepted it without a word, pouring liquid fire into his wounds, grinding his teeth as he prepared to sew himself shut. He admitted he would probably pass out, and if that happened, someone would need to finish sewing him up. Power and control. High above the city, Wilson Fisk looked through his telescope across the harbor. Behind him, a bound and bloodied city councilwoman whimpered. Fisk mocked her corruption, her deals with Russian money, her belief she could take and take without blood ever spilling. He told her New York was his, and he would cleanse it personally. She sat in silence, broken. As the Kingpin claimed his city, Tombstone, meanwhile, stood in a slaughterhouse, buckets of gore around him. He boasted that he was divinely inspired. His silver tongue and his blunt instruments together would remake New York. With every corpse, every scream, he gloated about orchestrating a gang war that would shake the city to its knees. The activation. Back in the bathroom, Frank faced the mirror. His body was stitched but broken. The woman asked his name. "I don't know," he admitted. He blamed it on a bullet to the brain. She reminded him he wasn't shot there. Suddenly, pain ripped through his body. He convulsed, his muscles seizing, his eyes wild. Elsewhere, screens flickered to life. Wilson Fisk leaned forward, watching. His voice was calm, chilling. "Time to get back to work." A command flashed across the system. "Activate, Punisher." Frank's eyes widened, sweat pouring down his face. Programming locked into place, burning into his mind. The old woman begged him to speak. Finally, with a cold, hardened stare, Frank looked at her and asked the only thing that mattered. "Do you have any guns?" Verdict. Frank Castle is back, but not the man you remember. Even he doesn't remember who he was. The Punisher has been broken, rewired, and reforged into a weapon under Kingpin's control. His past is gone. His will is gone. What remains is a blood-soaked machine ready to kill on command. Up in the next issue, an activated Punisher, and our channel will be there to cover the bloody affair. So, if you want to see how deep this bloody rabbit hole goes, keep your eyes sharp and keep following us. Remember, the Punisher doesn't ask for forgiveness. He only asks one thing: guns. Lots of guns. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.